Hartshoe runs up the middle. He gains about 7 yards.
It's one of those things, you live with the blitz, you die with the blitz. The blitz came in there untouched, but then the running back just had the perfect play called. And you can't do too much about that. I look for Revere to do a lot of that kind of stuff tonight. Not exactly gimmick plays, but plays like screen passes, draws, third down, and about 3.
Angelo pitches to Hartshoe around the end, gets it across the 4. First down.
That's enough for a Revere first down. First and 10 Minutemen, they'll mark it at the 42.
Revere started out very conservative, just 3 runs. I don't really sound play. In addition to what I was talking about, the screens and the draws, they rely on just good blocking, good tackling, fundamental football.
First and 10 for Revere. Angelo looking to pass, looking for a screen, and he throws it out of bounds. Intended. Matt Delnos on the pressure there for Wadsworth.
Quarterback just basically threw the ball away. Good coverage by the Wadsworth defense. Quarterback looking downfield, coming out of the backfield. That was covered also, and he just basically threw the ball into the Revere coach's hands. Brings up a 2nd and 10.
Hartshoe is the man to stop. He's a very smart runner. Finds the seams. Quick handoff, and Dezikowski is dropped just about at the line of scrimmage. No.
Chris Brink was in on the tackle, but that was one of those where you could pretty well credit it to the whole Wadsworth defense. So Wadsworth is playing pretty tough on defense, but now here's the dangerous play coming up, 3rd and 10. Well, not on 1st and 2nd down, but to the big play on 3rd down. So we'll see what Revere throws at them, see what kind of defense Wadsworth has.
Five up front. Play action. Angelo to pass. Finds the wide open, and by Matt Ford of Wadsworth. The pass was short, intended for Chris Slattery of Revere, and Ford, but knocked out of his hands.
Slattery was basically open. If the pass had been thrown a little longer, that could have been a big game. Ball was underthrown, and Ford just came up, almost intercepted.
And Hartshoe is also the punter. It's fielded by Marino. He's dragged out of bounds just shy of the 30-yard line.
And virtually no return on that play. Take a look to see what's happening tonight with the other teams that Wadsworth has been playing in the Suburban League. Green is going to game. Norton at Copley. Copley probably favored to win that game. Highland and Talmadge, you'd have to pick Highland in that one.
First, Hoover comes off the lance, and he gets through the line and then is smacked down at the line.
Looking at the out-of-conference opponent, Hudson playing at Solon, Medina playing at North Royalton. I would say Medina will probably beat North Royalton. Hudson Twinsburg could be a good game. Falls Solon, I think you'd have to pick Falls.
Ryan Hartshoe playing both ways. The Minutemen, he is a defensive back. 2nd and 7 for Wadsworth. Hoover back to pass, short drop back. Complete to Copeland at the 35-yard line.
That was a big play for this reason. I don't think Copeland caught a pass last week, maybe one. He was their big to get him back into the offense. One thing that was interesting, Hoover was walking around the first part of the week with his arm in a sling. They were thinking perhaps he had a separated shoulder and might not play, but separation. He's a tough kid, so he's in there playing.
Hoover takes the snap, hands it off to Lance, gets to the line. the first down at about the 43.
That was an 8-yard pickup by Lance, and that was nothing but good, hard running. Wish we had replay. 2 yards deep, busted away for another 6 yards. Very good, hard run by David Lance, and that's what you like to see.
Another injury update. Senior guard last week with a shoulder injury for the Grizzlies. 1st and 10, Wadsworth. Hoover, hands off. Lance around the left. Breaks a couple tackles. He's free down 25. He's run out of bounds. Excellent run by David Lance.
I noticed that Wadsworth this week is setting up with their 2 backs side. And the reason for that is they don't feel the Wadsworth line can hold their blocks long enough for a tailback to make it into the hole. So what they're saying is, we're going to bring our tailback 2 steps, look for a little hole, and let the kids run once they get past the line of scrimmage. And that's pretty much what Lance did. He beat them at the point of attack, and when he busted outside, there was just nobody there, and he rambled down the field.
Gain. Wadsworth at the Revere 26. 1st and 10. Another handoff to Lance. This time he goes right. 2nd and 8.
And if you were listening to what I said last time, that was a perfect example of it. Lance hit the hole as quickly as he could, just from 1 or 2 steps behind the quarterback. That time it closed up, but he did get a gain of down there. I'd almost say that they're in 4-down territory here on the 24-yard line.
Wadsworth definitely looking to improve offensively. Defensively, they were very strong against Medina. Another handoff, play action, pass intended for West, and the pass is incomplete.
West was open, the ball was thrown just a little bit behind him. And I'll tell you, John, as good as this Revere team is, I don't get the feeling that they're as good as either Cuyahoga Falls or Medina. It's big. Though they may be well drilled and well coached, I think Wadsworth has a better shot in this game than they did either against the Falls or Medina.
And Wadsworth did stop Medina's run game last week. Looking for a receiver. Finds Copeland on the sideline, and he runs out of bounds at about the 12.
Now, this is what you like to see. This is the Hudson game. A 12-yard gain to Copeland. And like I say, in the first quarter, he's already caught more passes than he did all of last week. So if this combination is working, so they're down on the 12-yard line, 1st and 10.
And the teams that have defeated Wadsworth so far this year are a combined 5-1, so they were no slouch. No running room, brought down at the line. There's a flag on the play.
There is a flag down near the line of scrimmage.
Over. There's a holding on Wadsworth. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. So Wadsworth is going to be looking at a 1st and 20. That was another thing that hurt Wadsworth in the last couple games. That they had, not that they had that many penalties, but some of them were very crucial. And here we have a crucial penalty where 1st and about 23. I guess it's 1st and 20.
And like most teams, Wadsworth using the running game to set up their passing. 15-yard passing last week. They also had 2 interceptions. However, they did give up 172 yards rushing. That was against Brecksville. Hoover, fake handoff. He's going to take it.
Football around the right end gets down near the 15.
Gets to almost the 15-yard line, a gain of about 5.
Mark it at about the 16.
I'm not sure that was a quarterback roll or a busted play. Ramugli are doing the stats for us tonight. Scott just told around and said that was a call play. If it was a call play, that was a very, very good fake by Hoover because he did look baffled for a second there. Second down, 14.
Sorry, Larry.
That's okay.
6 minutes to go in the first. Play action to Marino. Brink gets it inside the 10.
Lucas again on the
target there. Chris Brink stands about 6'3", goes about 190. That was a 9-yard pickup. And we mentioned this before in the earlier games. Chris Brink has outstanding speed. He can run with most catches the gain you get. He can run at the best of them. Here's a big play. 3rd down and 6 for Wadsworth on about the 9-yard line of Revere.
Receive for Wadsworth. Hoover rolls left, looks for a receiver. Incomplete in 10 the end zone.
Ryan on the coverage.
Give Revere credit. They cut. Hoover just had to lay it like right on the out of bounds line. If he wasn't going to catch it, nobody was. But this brings up a 4th down and 6 to go. And looks like Wadsworth is going to go try the field goal. Galpert is in. I don't think he's kicked a field goal this year.
That's what I was just asking our scorekeepers here. I believe it is their first field goal attempt, about a 25-yarder.
He's looked good on the extra points in the kickoff, so let's see what he can do at the field goal.
Snap is good, kick is up,
25-yard attempt.
and it is good. So with 5:43 to go in the first, Wadsworth is on the board. It's 3-0.
Okay, folks, this is what I know you've all been waiting for. I'm sure you've been asking yourself all week, what did the North Lima South Range Red Raiders do last week? Well, last week they played a very tough Crestview team, and they won 21-14. They are now 3-0. Tonight they have another tough one in perennial powerhouse Vienna Matthews. So as the season goes on, we'll keep cheering the Red Raiders on, hopefully to the playoffs. And if you think the Red Raiders are a joke, this week the Ohio State High School Football Association Coaches Poll ranks the Red Raiders number 6 in Division 5. So it looks like they've got a good shot at the playoffs. Their 2 toughest teams are going to be the powerhouse McDonald's and the ever-difficult Mineral Ridge, both of whom are undefeated. But for this week, it's going to be Vienna Matthews. We'll keep you posted on how the North Lima South Range Red Raiders do.
Nice to see the Grizzlies come out and score first. As we said, this game could shape the outcome of both of these teams' seasons. Galpert. A ground ball. Fielded by a few Revere players who fall down.
I take exception to that. It wasn't fielded by a few, it was fielded by none. And what happened, they basically had to fall on the ball.
Fielding the kickoff.
It was a 40-yard kick and no return. A 42-yard kick.
First and 10 on the 17-yard line.
Revere takes over on the 17-yard line. See what they do second time out.
The first quarter.
Keep an eye on number 32, Ryan Hartshoe. In the backfield, I formation. Hartshoe and Dezakowski. And the give is to Hartshoe. There is a flag on the play.
The flag, that's usually where you have holding, or it could be a motion penalty in the backfield. We'll have to see what the referees call. In the backfield, it's almost certainly against Revere. Referee's talking it over with Wadsworth.
And John Schnell making the tackle for the Grizzlies.
Busen and Schnell on the tackle for Wadsworth.
Still talking it over. It's a motion penalty against
Revere.
the Wadsworth players looking over the sideline to see what Coach Dennison's going to say. And he says, move them back. So that's going to bring up a 1st and 15 for Wadsworth.
We'll replay the down. It'll be 1st and 15 for Revere. They'll start at their 12.
Ball will be on Revere's own 12-yard line. So far, Wadsworth doing good as they did last week, stopping the running game. Revere does have a strong one. It's a little shovel pass to Hartshoe. He gets around left and gains some yardage up to about the 25, about 12-yard gain.
Well-designed play, well executed. Running back broke wide, just a quick pitch. There was a broken tackle about at the line of scrimmage, and after that, the running back just rambled for another 12 yards. So that's going to bring up a 2nd down and 3. We've got about 4 minutes and 50 seconds left in the first quarter.
Handoff is to Hartshoe, finds running room. He just found a seam and broke right through to the 40-yard line.
That was one of those deals where everybody was up close for Wadsworth. Point of attack, the line of scrimmage, he busted loose, and there was nobody there but the safeties, who did a good job of bringing him down. A 14-yard gain for Hartshoe. Brings up 1st and 10 on the Revere 39. And they look like they've got their act together a little better than they did in the first drive.
Hartshoe ran for 108 yards last week against Brecksville. And they give it to him again. This time he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Tackle is by Ryan Finn.
Finn did a good job. He was waiting for him at the line of scrimmage, made a very clean ankle tackle, basically by himself for no gain, maybe a gain of a yard. So it's going to bring up 2nd and 9 for Revere. And as you said, John, I'm pretty impressed with the way the Wadsworth defense is playing. If they can just keep it in their head, don't give up the big play.
Start concentrating on Hartshoe too much, and they could get that long pass play off. Revere I formation, 2nd and 9. Fake handoff to Hartshoe. Angelo looking, finds a receiver. Mark Ciro.
That is Mark Ciro.
Mark Ciro, the receiver for Revere. Tackle by 4. 15-yard gain. 1st and 10, Revere at the 45 of
Boy,
Wadsworth.
Did that play take a long time to develop. It was a good thing the quarterback was rolling right to buy himself some time. The primary receiver seemed to be open, and then he caught the back coming across the middle for the completion. Nice play.
Handoff and reverse. Ciro takes it down the sideline until he's brought down. Very nice reverse handoff in the backfield by the Revere Minutemen.
There were 3 backs in the backfield, the quarterback and the 2 running backs. Quarterback handed off to the 1st running back. Quarterback was hit. The 1st running back was hit just about as he handed off, but that left no defenders there for the 2nd running back. And wow, you could see that one developing all the way. That was going to be about a 30-yard gain. Now Wadsworth has to really stiffen up here. 1st and goal, a 10 on the 15.
Little over 3 minutes to go in the first. This time it's a run up the middle. Dizakowski, Revere fullback. Little bit of yardage, and it's 2nd and 4.
I've been very impressed with the Revere play calling and the Revere execution. As I said earlier, this is a good bunch of coaches here at Revere. They're not going to give you anything, and any weakness you got, they're going to exploit. And they've been doing a good job of that here in the first quarter. Wadsworth is going to have to keep their heads on their shoulders to stop them.
Angelo hands it to Hartshoe, breaks a couple tackles, and he's inside the 5 of Wadsworth.
So that'll be a 1st and goal on about the 4. Did a good job of breaking a tackle at the line of scrimmage. That was good blocking at the point of attack, and good hard running by Hartshoe. So here we go, 1st and goal, ball at the 4.
Wadsworth brings in Joe Teeter to strengthen that line. First and goal for Revere. Shovel pass option to Hartshoe, and he gets it in the end zone for a Revere Minutemen touchdown.
Very well executed option. The quarterback hung on to the ball till the last minute, and he took a hit as he let the ball go. In fact, I was thinking that's got to be a fumble. There's no way he could pitch the ball getting hit like that, but he did. And after that, it was just a race to the end zone, and Revere won, 6-3 Revere, with the extra point to go.
David Sweetler to attempt the point after.
David Sweedler to attempt the point after touchdown for Revere. The kick is up and good. So with 2 minutes and 5 seconds to go in the first, it's Revere 7, and Wadsworth 3.
You want to know what scared me about that drive? It's that everything Revere did worked. Wadsworth didn't stop anything they did. The passes, the pitches, the gimmick plays, they all went for Wadsworth. So the defensive coaches are going to have to get their heads together and try to figure out a way to stop this truly multifaceted Revere offense.
Will be kicking off for the Minutemen.
So let's see what Wadsworth can do on their second possession. Matt West is back deep to receive the kick with
Ryan Gosser.
Deep for Wadsworth.
And interesting, the kid that made the extra point there is not the kickoff kicker, I guess you'd say. It's number 35, Russ Landy, kicking off for Revere.
Well, usually they have two kickers on a team like this, one for the accuracy for short end, and then just somebody to power the ball downfield. This is the power downfield.
End over end kick.
It didn't happen.
And the kick is received by Josh Busen. He was up front of the deep men. 35-yard kick for Revere, and it's returned just to about the Wadsworth 40.
About a 14-yard return. So we'll see what Wadsworth did this time. On offense, things were working pretty well for Wadsworth. I don't see them doing much different. They had a nice mix-up of plays, and with Copeland catching a couple passes, I'd look for the same thing. Once again, though, Wadsworth is not lining up in the eye. The backs are split.
Two wide receivers left for Wadsworth. Handoff is to Marino. Finds room off tackle and gets up to about the 48-yard line.
Nice little counter play. Everybody coming this way. Marino went that way. Gain of 9. And once again, you see the value of having the backs up closer. He was there at the point of attack when the block was made. Managed just to wiggle through that little crack in the line and then pick up 9 yards. This next play coming up, unless it's an incomplete pass, will probably be the last play of the first quarter. We only have 27 seconds left to go. Oop, there was a goalpost in my way, 1:27 to go.
Hoover looking for a receiver, finds Brink at the 30, and he steps out of bounds just past Revere's 30. Nice play there by Wadsworth.
Nice pass. Chris Brink caught the ball, and he tried to tippy-toe down the sideline. If he could have got his balance, there was nobody between him and the end zone, but unfortunately he couldn't hang on to it and stepped out of bounds, and I think he was as angry as anybody in the stadium that he couldn't stay in. Still, that was a nice play. Wadsworth on offense is looking very impressive.
29, first and 10 Grizzlies.
There's the pitch to Marino.
Marino around the right side.
Gains a few yards on the right side.
To about the 23-yard line.
To about the 23 of Revere.
The pass play before is a 34-yard pass play. That pitch to Marino, they showed a different wrinkle there. Everybody was blocking left, everybody was coming left. The quick pitch, it was just one one blocker out with Marino. And I think more than anything else, that's just to keep the Revere defense loose. You just let them know you don't know what's coming next.
2nd and 5 for Wadsworth. Handoff to Marino, or Lance, I'm sorry. And he's brought down at the line of scrimmage. 3rd down.
That was almost the same play as last time, but this time instead of pitching to the wide back, they gave a little pitch to the inside back. But Revere that time was waiting for it, so there was only a gain of about 2 yards. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 4.
Gain of maybe a yard. We're going to call it 3rd and 4. The 23.
This time Wadsworth sets up a receiver on each side. Copeland a little...
They rule it a catch.
And Copeland did catch it at about the 15-yard line. 8-yard gain for Wadsworth. It'll be 1st down.
What happened, Copeland was laying on the ground when he caught the ball. He was behind the lineman. We couldn't see what happened, but the referee's right on the play, ruled it a catch, and that's the end of the first quarter.
Score is Revere 7, Wadsworth 3. And Wadsworth's offense has definitely improved from last week. They're using the run game, setting up the passing game. And when it looks like Revere is expecting the run, Wadsworth is passing.
Okay, I've got some stats for you, courtesy of Scott Callahan. Wadsworth in passing, 5 out of 7 for 68 yards. Of course, Hoover threw all those passes. As far as rushing is concerned, David Lance has picked up 47 yards. Marino has picked up 14 yards. That's a total of 63 yards. Very balanced offense, very potent offense. Wadsworth has not punted. In fact, there hasn't been a punt in the game.
6 first downs for Wadsworth in that first quarter.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been impressed with the offenses of both teams here in the first quarter. So start of the second quarter, Wadsworth has a 1st and 10 on the Revere 15.
And I was wrong about that. They had 4 first downs in the first.
4 first downs.
Handoff is to Lance. Breaks a couple tackles. Brought down about the 10-yard line of Revere.
Boy, that was an awfully slow whistle. But good hard running by Lance. Cut inside, but unfortunately there was a linebacker there waiting for him. Then it was just put your head down and plow and see what you can get. Got 5 yards.
For the Minutemen. The gain was about 4 yards.
It's going to be 2nd and 6 for Wadsworth. Just at the start of the second. This handoff is to Marino, gets inside the 10-yard to about the 9.
He was hit in the backfield, though he wasn't tackled. What happened? Dan just couldn't get up a good head of steam. So there was just a small gain on that.
Just inside the 10-yard line. The gain was 2. It'll be 3rd and 4.
3rd and 4. And now this is going to be interesting if they don't make it on this. What's Wadsworth going to do? Are they going to kick the field goal again, attempt a field goal, or this time they're going to try for it?
I would have to assume they would kick it and get what points they can this deep in Revere. But we'll see. Hoover back to pass. Cox once, twice, finds Copeland just shy of the goal line. He's brought down about the 1 or 2.
I'll tell you, John, that makes all the talk academic, doesn't it? When you get a completion down on the 1-yard line, you don't have to worry about the field goal. Very nice play, very nice pass. Good route run by Copeland, who's coming out of the game now. With the small wide receivers coming out, it looks like Wadsworth is just going to punch it in. See if they line up in a full house backfield.
They do.
They do.
The power eye with John Schnell included along with Lance
I don't
and
think
Marino.
Schnell will touch the ball. He's there for a blocking back.
There's a flag.
All over. I have a hunch a Revere player jumped offside, but I'm not sure. Again, John Schnell, who's the up back in that set, I don't think will ever touch the ball. He's there to lay a block on somebody.
It was offsides on Revere.
Half the distance, so we're inside the 1-yard line now. 1st and goal.
Well, you could say they were penalized for 3/4 of a yard. Actually, you don't do that. You take it to the nearest yard. It's a 1-yard penalty. Saw Wadsworth, I have a hunch, same play, everything.
Schnell, a tremendous game defensively last week. Now he's in as a blocking back. Handoff is to Lance. Into the pile. Referees looking.
That didn't look like a football play as much as it looked like a rugby scrum. Everybody went right, and you saw Schnell and everybody trying to push the pile forward. They couldn't quite do it, and there goes Schnell out.
And Josh Busen is now in.
And I don't know. I don't think you could get much closer than that and not have the ball in the end zone. If I were, I'm not the coach, but I think a quarterback sneak, just shove it in. Nope.
David Lance again.
The handoff to Lance. This time he gets in for a Wadsworth Grizzly touchdown.
That was mostly David Lance because he was stopped, stood up, but he just kept the legs driving, and just pushed everybody, including himself, into the end zone. So Wadsworth goes up 9-7.
Galpert to attempt the point after touchdown. Jeff Hanna to hold. Snap is low to Hanna. He gets it up. Kick is good.
Yeah, a lot of credit to Hanna on that. That was a very poor snap. He kept his head, got the ball down, and we've got ourselves an extra point. 10-7 Wadsworth.
9.5 minutes to go in the first half.
Stage on something that impressed me. Tell me if you agree. The Wadsworth offense seems to be a lot more in sync tonight. They look smoother. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but in the last couple games, they'd be running along, then all of a sudden it'd be like one cylinder started missing. This time they've got everything going for them. They look poised, they look confident. Everything they're doing is working. Now, you got to take on the other hand, Revere is not that big. They're not getting the pressure on the quarterback, on the running back that the Falls did, that Medina did. But I think Wadsworth is functioning very well. The thing that has to happen now is Wadsworth has got to stop Revere. They can't let them keep moving the ball, can't give them any big plays. If they can do that with the way the offense is going, I think things are looking really well for Wadsworth.
I completely agree. Wadsworth came into that Medina game averaging 20 points in their first, but they could only manage 7 first downs and 115 total yards against Medina. So really, you can either look at Wadsworth's offense, or what you should do is credit Medina's defense for keeping them off balance.
A little bit of both, I think.
A squib kick fielded by number 83, Jason Wygand, 36-yard kick, and the ball will be placed around the 30-yard line of Revere.
For as early in the game as it is, this could be a big series of downs. Revere had taken the lead on a nice drive, then Wadsworth came back and took it away from them. Let's see what happens. Who's going to be more pumped, the Wadsworth defense, the Revere offense?
Revere into the eye, 2 receivers right. Handoff is to Hartshoe. Across the 35-yard line to about the 37. A gain of a couple yards.
Josh Busen did a nice job trailing that play and making the tackle. It's the kind of thing you want your linebacker to do. That brings up a 2nd and 7.
Just under 9 minutes to go in the first half. 10-7 Grizzlies. It's a pitch to Hartshoe. Wadsworth read it all the way and brought him down at the line of scrimmage or just behind it.
That was a great job by Tim Wilkinson, number 45. He strung the play out exactly what you're supposed to do. Wouldn't let the running back get outside and just wait for help. Very, very good play. And here we go with the big play again. This is the one you got to be scared of, 3rd and 9. See if they bring a linebacker. See if they blitz anybody.
Revere band continues to play. It's a little dump-off pass to Cerro, and he finds yardage and takes it across midfield for the first down.
That was a 16-yard pass play, well set up. I was watching the Wadsworth defensive back. They rushed 5, and the 3 linebackers dropped back into coverage, and when the screen was thrown, it was into an area there wasn't anybody there. And by the time the Wadsworth defensive back came up, it was a 15-yard gain. Very well called play, very well executed play.
Angelo, a trap play by Revere. Dzikowski across the 45 and gets about a 5-yard gain on that play.
Tim Wilkinson made the stop. Good run, nothing fancy, just up the middle, broke a tackler through at the line, and then Wilkinson made the tackle. That'll be 2nd and 4 for Revere.
Another mention here about the game conditions. It's still rather warm. 4th game into the season, very comfortable, not cold at all.
Global warming, CO2 emissions.
Handoff to the fullback, Dzikowski. Gets up to about the 39 of Wadsworth.
I think
just shy of a first.
Yeah, it looked like he had it, and then they spotted the ball back a bit. I think the referees are going to call for a measurement, but if I had to guess, I'd say he's short by about half a yard.
Timeout for a measurement.
Yeah, you know, talking about the weather, this is the fourth beautiful night for football we've had. And as we indicated to you at the beginning of the game, we're not in any broadcast booth. We're sitting in the stands in the middle of all the Revere fans. And tonight it's not too bad. But we were looking down the schedule, John and I, before the game started, and we end up with Cloverleaf, we end up with Copley, and I know for a fact that neither one of them have a broadcast booth to sit in. So on October the 30th and November the 6th, we are going to be freezing our tails off to bring you this game.
So it is. We are sorry we can't bring you the awesome directing abilities of Mr. Ken Buck and the other guys that help us in the truck, bringing the slow-mo and the graphics. However, Wadsworth's next two games are at home against Green and then Norton for homecoming, so we will have our full capabilities in production for those two games.
Then it can rain.
3rd and 1. Angelo, quarterback sneak, jumps over the line for a first. I would have thought Wadsworth would know that was coming there. Nice job by the Revere line there, allowing their quarterback just to kind of jump over the pile for the first.
Well, you know, that was a quarterback sneak, but it wasn't also. It wasn't where he just put his head down and plowed forward. He actually stood up and looked to see where the line was sagging and then went behind his tackle rather than just trying to plow in behind the center. So that's why the pickup was for a couple yards instead of just enough for the first down.
Wadsworth stacking the line. They're going to blitz. It's a fake handoff. Angelo, it's a quarterback keeper just short of the 35. I saw a couple Wadsworth defenders tackling guys that didn't have the ball.
They had me completely faked out. I was watching the first running back. I said, uh-oh, big gain. Then I looked for the second one. I said, uh-oh, he got thrown for a loss. And then finally I said, oh, the quarterback's got the ball. 2nd and 9, and watch for the ball to be thrown on this play, and probably next play if they don't make it either. So the Wadsworth defense is playing pretty tough against the run. 2nd and 9. And here's another one to watch. See if Wadsworth blitzes anybody, brings any backers.
Brent Metzler and Mark Ciro wide for the Minutemen. Neither of them are open, and Angelo has to throw it away under nice pressure from the Grizzlies.
Chris Brink was in the backfield on the quarterback, breathing down his neck, and I really feel that ball was just thrown away. It wasn't intentional grounding. There was a receiver in the area, but he just threw the ball into the ground. And here we go. 3rd and 9. This is where Wadsworth defense has not come up the last few games, the last 2 times. Let's see if we can stop them here.
This time it's Ciro wide right and John Congini wide left. Wadsworth blitz. They get a hand on Angelo. Now they get a couple guys on, and it's a sack. Down to the 41, and Revere is going to have to punt it away.
A lot of credit to John Schnell on that play. He was coming, got in there, and disrupted the whole play. Got a hand on the quarterback. The quarterback was totally disrupted from his pass patterns, had to try to roll out, and then the rest of the Wadsworth defense was waiting.
Archie in punt formation. West and Marino in double safety for Wadsworth.
West and Marino back for Wadsworth. The punt from Hartshoe is high, and Wadsworth receivers let it go over their head into the end zone. 41-yard punt by Revere.
And they will start from their 20-yard line.
Okay, Wadsworth is going to take over now on their 20-yard line with 5:03 to go. And 5:03 is plenty of time for Wadsworth to march the ball down the field. Both teams have all 3 of their timeouts, I believe. So if Wadsworth can mount anything here, it'd be really nice going in 17-7 rather than 10-7. But they got a Revere defense to go through before that'll happen.
Split backs, split receivers for Wadsworth. Little pitch to David Lance around the right side, finds running room to the 30, to the 40, thrown out of bounds, just shy of the 45.
That was a nice run, but if you go back to where it started, Lance almost didn't handle that pitch. It hit him in a bad spot, right in the hands, and he was kind of like bobbling the ball for a couple steps before he took it in. Then it turned into a very, very fine gain, a 25-yard pickup for Wadsworth.
Clock continues to run, just under 5 minutes to go. Wadsworth needs to use up the clock, keep Revere's deep offense off the field. Lance this time around left, and he gets it past midfield to Revere's 45.
That's going to be close to a 1st and 10, depending on where they spot it. I think they're spotting it just shy of the 1st down. Another nice run by David Lance. That time he had the blockers in front of him and got to the pile, plowed forward for another couple yards. Very nice play to bring up 2nd and like about a yard. What do you do here? You go deep, try to pick it up on 3rd down, or did you just try to pick it up?
For Revere on the last play. 2nd and less than 1.
They're going for it all.
Straight drop back, passes to Copeland, and just short and out of the reach of Copeland.
R2 back on the coverage, 3rd down, less than a yard.
Not a bad call. They can always come back and hopefully pick up the 1st down here. Copeland had caught the ball. That would have been a nice 15, 17-yard gain. Brings up 3rd and 1.
Hands it off to Lance. He is brought down, and it looks shy of the 1st down again.
I thought he had the 1st down before he was pushed back. See where they spot it.
Market shy of the Revere 45. Official timeout for a measurement.
Referee's timeout to measure that.
I don't think Lance got a very good spot on that. It appeared to me that he was about a yard further downfield in that first search before he got pushed back. But the referees are down there on the field watching it. It's going to be very close to a 1st down.
The measurement. 1st down, Wadsworth.
Half the length of the football. So now with 3:52 to go, Wadsworth has a 1st and 10 on the Revere 45.
And now Wadsworth can do what I was mentioning, and that's keep the Revere offense off the field before this 1st half ends.
And something else to consider, Wadsworth will receive the kickoff in the 2nd half. The ball here for a while. Revere offense won't be on the field till quarter.
Wadsworth just needs to watch the turnover. Lance around the right end. There's a flag on the play. He fumbles. Recovered by Gosser.
That's going to be an illegal block on Wadsworth, or a holding call on Wadsworth. So this play is certainly going to come back. Let's see what they call. Everybody's walking back. The refs are talking it over.
Looks like we're going to bring this one back. A holding penalty.
Holding against Wadsworth. That'll be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. And I think they're saying that it happened on about the 42 or 43-yard line. So they'll march 10 yards back from that, and that'll bring up a 1st and about 18 for Wadsworth.
Moves it back to the Wadsworth 46-yard line.
Score still remains Wadsworth 10, Revere 7.
You know, I mentioned earlier on, it isn't that Wadsworth has had that many penalties, but boy, they've come at critical times. And that's the difference between a 1st and 10 on the 30 with 3.5 to go and a 1st and 18 on your own 46. It's a very unfortunate penalty.
It happens every time, Larry. Did you notice right before that play I said they got to watch for the turnover? Well, they didn't turn it over, but Lance did fumble and Wadsworth recovered. Penalty puts them back. Now Hoover's going to pass, intended for Matt West, and it's just out of his reach. It'll now be 2nd down.
That was pretty good coverage by Revere. West just simply wasn't open. It had to be a perfect pass to thread its way through the defenders, and Hoover put it in there pretty well, but it just wasn't quite catchable. That brings up a 2nd and 18.
And those incomplete passes are stopping the clock, which is what Wadsworth doesn't need right now.
Well, Wadsworth is between the rock and the hard place. They want to score, and they also want to take time off the clock. And you got a 1st and 18, you almost have to throw.
Now it's 2nd and 19. Hoover drops straight back. Finds Brink, who dives. He was wide open. That pass also out of Brink's reach. It'll be 3rd and 19 for Wadsworth.
Hoover had excellent protection that time. The line ball just off the fingertips of Chris Brink, and that brings up a 3rd down and 19 yards to go. for the first time that I can remember tonight, Wadsworth is lining up in the I.
2 receivers left. Hoover back to pass. Over the middle to Brink. And that pass also incomplete. Wadsworth will have to punt with a little over 3 minutes. We have an injured Revere player down on the field, and he's getting up. He'll be all right. That was number 73, Ryan Ensley, defensive tackle for Revere.
David Lance in punt formation.
Lance to punt for Wadsworth. Zero and Hartshoe back deep. Snap is high to Lance. Spiraling kick. Fielded by Hartshoe, and he signals for fair catch at the 25-yard line. So Revere will take it 1st and 10 with 3:08 remaining in the first half.
Unfortunately, you couldn't bring in the hang time on that punt. I got my stopwatch out, but it was registering Singapore Standard Time, and by the time I pushed all the buttons to try to get into stopwatch mode, the ball had already come down. But we'll give you a hang time and how high the ball goes, hopefully on the next punt. And Revere's taking a timeout. That's Revere's first time out. In fact, I think it's the first time out for either team in this half. Well, that holding penalty really came back to haunt Wadsworth. Everything was going well, and now instead of either scoring or running out the clock, they've given the ball back to this very effective Revere offense with 3 minutes and 8 seconds to go. And like I say, that's the last thing in the world which has wanted to happen.
Across from the high school. Enjoy the homecoming game and then enjoy getting together with your classmates and fellow alumni. Tickets for the party are only $5.
And this late in a half, 3 minutes can seem like 30 minutes.
It oftentimes turns into 30 minutes. Well, Wadsworth defense got to suck it in here, and if they can go into halftime up 10-7, I think everybody's going to be very satisfied.
Stand at the south end of the field near Revere Middle School is operated by our band parents.
Now Revere's offense is ready.
From the 25.
Revere in an obvious passing situation, 3 wide receivers.
One setback is Dizakowski, the fullback, and it's handed off to him up the middle. Gains a couple yards.
7-yard line.
It'll be 2nd and 8.
I think the Revere thinking was, well, let's try to fool them once, send everybody wide, then come back up the middle. The Wadsworth defense wasn't fooled, but I think that's the last you're going to see of that. I think you're going to see the air filled with footballs for the next 2.5 minutes.
Now Revere back into the I. 2.5 minutes to go in the first half. Wadsworth with a 3-point lead. Angelo to pass. Deep down the middle of the field. Intended for John Congeni. Out of his reach. A couple Wadsworth players a step or two behind him. Had that pass been in the bucket, he may have had daylight in front of him.
Well, that had to be a perfect pass. Even though he was behind the Wadsworth defenders, he was still fairly well covered. Had to be a perfect throw. Now, against the Falls, we saw one of those, where the balls lay right in the bucket and there was a score. But it takes an exceptional pass to do that. That brings up a 3rd and 8, and here we go again. 3rd down, a lot of yards. Wadsworth can't give up the big play.
The give is to Hartshoe. Finds room over the line. And he's dropped across the 35 to the 37, and he does have the first down.
Well, this is what Revere is noted for. There's their coaching. They're very good at the screens. They're very good at the draw plays. They didn't exactly keep Wadsworth napping, because there was certainly some thought that this was going to happen. But by the time the defensive backs came up, because they were playing deep not to give the touchdown, they got the first down on the 37-yard line.
Hartshoe does already have 489 yards rushing in the first 3 games this year. Angelo, straight drop back. Intercepted! Nice interception by Tim Wilkinson of Wadsworth. First interception of the year.
That ball was thrown right to Wilkinson. The ball was badly underthrown. There was like front-back coverage on the receiver. Wilkinson was in the front man, just dropped out into the flat there, and he was literally standing there, and the ball came and hit him in the hands, and he took off down the field. Nice turnover. That's not Wadsworth's first interception. Schnell had one in the first game, but it's Wilkinson's first interception.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
Thank you. Now Hoover going left. He's brought down. Fumbled the ball as he hit the ground. Ground caused the fumble, so it will be a loss of yardage.
I was watching Copeland. Copeland went deep when he saw Hoover was in trouble. He came back and was wide open, but at this time Hoover was hearing footsteps and running for his life. So it's going to bring up a 2nd and 13.
Watch for a trick play here by Wadsworth. Hannah, a little wing back kind of receiving there. And he is going to throw it. And the pass is incomplete.
Got to give Scott Callahan credit for calling that play. The thing that made it not work was outstanding Revere defense. Hannah had the ball, was ready to throw. There was a receiver open about 8 yards downfield, but just as he was throwing the ball, he was tackled, and the ball just fell to the turf. So here we go, 3rd and 13 with 1:05 left to play.
Hoover trying to reverse there to Hannah. Didn't quite work out. Now Hoover's going to roll to his right. Finds Copeland open on the sideline, and he had 1 foot out of bounds, so the pass will be incomplete.
If he had 1 foot out of bounds, that would have been a reception. 1 foot was clearly out, the other one was standing on the line. In high school ball, you only have to have 1 foot in bounds to make a catch. But that was a good call by the referee standing there. 1 foot clearly out of bounds, the other one on the chalk line. Brings up a 4th down and 13 from about the 33-yard line. And it looks like Wadsworth is going to go for it. They're not going to punt. 59 seconds to play.
What I meant to say there is he started out of bounds before he caught it. He did not come down with 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Pass to Marino is complete.
But he's going to be short of a first down, and Revere is going to take over. I'll tell you, Revere dodged a bullet there because the defensive back came up short. Marino broke behind him. Unfortunately, the ball was shown right on the sideline. But be that as it may, it was a pickup of about 12 yards. Wadsworth needed 13. Revere takes over with 54 seconds to go on their own 22. And don't be surprised if the Revere quarterback just takes the snap and kneels down. I doubt if they do anything tricky down here.
Angelo calling the play. Hands it to Hartshoe, who takes it up the middle.
That was an 8-yard gain, but Wadsworth's going to give them that. If you look at the defensive back, they're playing well off the ball. They'll give them 8 yards anytime they want to. They just don't want the home run ball. Now we have 35 seconds to go, and unless something happens spectacular, this next play is probably going to be the last play of the first half.
2nd and 3 for Revere. Clock is running. 20, 19, 18. Another handoff to Hartshoe. Up the middle. Brought down in a pile of players.
And that'll be the first half.
That will be the first half. And the score here at the end of the first half will be the Wadsworth Grizzlies 10, the Revere Minutemen 7. So Wadsworth will be receiving, and as we come back for the second half in just we're back in Past WCTV and Wadsworth Grizzlies football. John Bernard and Larry Varner with you, and Larry's going to fill you in on the first half stats.
Well, the first half looks something like this. Starting out for Wadsworth, they had 185 yards of total offense, rushing 106 yards, 86 for Lance, 17 for Marino. Passing, they were 6 for 13, but I think 5 out of those 6 completions came in the first quarter. They had 9 first downs and no turnovers. As far as Revere is concerned, 149 total yards in offense, 118 yards rushing. They were 31 yards passing, 2 for 7. Revere had 7 first downs, and they had the 1 turnover on the interception, which really didn't play any part in the game. And Wadsworth will receive to start the second half.
Revere, number 35, Russ Landy, kicks it off. Whistles blow.
Offside Revere. Somebody came across the line before the kicker kicked the ball. And during the halftime, John and I were talking. Good coaches make adjustments at halftime, and the better the coaches, the better the adjustments they make. Wadsworth coaching is good at this, but as I said early on in the game, Revere coaching staff might be the best that we come up against all year. So you know they're going to make adjustments too. So I think the story of the second half is going to be who makes the better adjustments. Wadsworth played very well in the first half. They had the 1 critical penalty, they had no turnovers, but most importantly, they didn't give up the big play for the touchdown this time. So I think the Wadsworth coaches should be very satisfied coming out in the second half up 10-7.
And Joe Papano, the coach of Revere, this is his 23rd year, and the kick is fielded by Matt West. He falls down on one knee, and he's ruled down at the catch.
Was a 41-yard kick, no return. In high school ball, as soon as your knee touches, you're down, whether anybody hits you or not. And West fumbled the ball. What he should have done is just got his act together, picked it up, and away you went. But he tried to scoop it up from one knee. The ref blew the whistle right away. So Wadsworth starts on the 24.
Hoover hands it off to Lance, finds room around the left. Sticks the forearm out to gain a couple extra yardage. Nice block there by Ryan Gosser, and that's a 12-yard gain for Wadsworth. And what I wanted to mention about Revere coaching, I started to say, Coach Papano, this is his 23rd year at Revere, and the Minutemen have won 9 league titles under him.
Plus, they've made the playoffs several times. I don't know exactly how many, but they're perennial. 6 times the playoffs?
Again, Lance, the ball carrier, and he's brought down at the line.
You know, you talk about Papano and all his experience. You put John Sistone in there, the former coach of St. V's, and they must have like 60 years of coaching experience between the two of them, and probably at least a dozen trips to the state playoffs and probably 4 or 5.
Sistone had 4 state titles for St. VM in about 32 years of coaching. 2nd and 11 for Wadsworth. Pass over the middle to Gosser. And he's brought down past midfield. Nice pass play there. Interesting, Hoover finding Gosser. Hasn't gone to him too often this season.
That might be the first catch that Gosser's made all year. I don't know for sure. It was a 17-yard pickup. Very nice play. The defensive back for Revere overcommitted on the ball. It looked like almost like he's going for the interception. When he flew by, Gosser was basically by himself to catch the ball.
Wadsworth gets the Revere defense to jump. Nice patience there by the Wadsworth offensive line. Let's see if they didn't throw off Revere's line.
Defense offside is against Revere. Bring up a 1st and 5. And now here's an interesting call too. You got 1st and 5. You're on about the 42-yard line. Would you go for it all right here? Would you send everybody deep, try the deep pass play, try to catch them unawares? I don't know. They're coming out with wide receivers down here to the left, so maybe watch the left bottom of your screen and see what happens.
Quick handoff to Lance. There's a flag right away.
Flag on the play.
As soon as that play was consummated, the flag was thrown.
I have a hunch that's going to be against Wadsworth, probably a procedure penalty.
Making the initial hit for Revere.
Yep, motion against Wadsworth.
Legal procedure penalty.
so.
Wadsworth.
Well, Revere might decline this, though. There was virtually no gain. There might have been a slight loss on the play.
So we will move it back 5 yards.
Nope,
So
they're going to take it.
Penalty offsets the last penalty on Revere.
So it's 1st and 10 like nothing happened.
47-yard line.
I was talking, was Wadsworth going to go for it all? The answer, of course, is no, they weren't. So it's telling. Tells you something about the way the Wadsworth coaching staff is thinking. Let's keep it on the ground.
This may be obvious, but Wadsworth would love to strike here. Pitch to Lance, another flag. Lance around the left, takes it down to the 45.
And that might be a big one on Wadsworth. They might be calling an illegal block. Let's take a look and see. They're calling a legal block on Wadsworth. I didn't see it, but that was a block below the knees on the Wadsworth player. Had to be on a wide receiver, I think. But the rule is you can't block below the waist past, I think it's 3 yards past the line of scrimmage. And this is going to be a big setback for Wadsworth. And there they march him back 15 yards.
That one starts from the spot of the foul and goes back inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line.
You may hear the PA announcer here, and he just said that brings the ball back to the spot of the foul. Now it's 1st and 26 at about the 37 of Wadsworth.
I'd put in all my track and cross-country people and have them go deep.
Hoover dropped back, finds Copeland, and a low pass is incomplete.
Oh, I hate to say it about the penalties, but there's another example of it. Wadsworth had a nice drive going. They were down on the 42-yard line of Revere, and then twice they shoot themselves in the foot. The second one was the big penalty to bring up 1st and 26. There really isn't an awful lot you can do about that. They weren't trying to pick it all up at one time. They were looking for about a 15-yard pickup, but the pass was incomplete.
2nd and 26. Just under 10 minutes to go in the third. Hoover, quick drop back, pass to West is complete. Breaks a couple tackles, gets past midfield, and West scampers all the way down to the Revere 40.
I was talking to Matt West in class, and I said, I was looking at the program. I didn't like what I saw. How big are you? He says, I weigh 135. He looked like a water bug out there. They just couldn't get a good grip on him. Broke 2 tackles, made an excellent run. Unfortunately, a 3rd and 5. Looking at the program, Matt West is listed at
23 more than he said he was.
23 pounds more.
3rd and 5 now for the Grizzlies. Hand off to Lance, gets the first down.
David Lance.
And he's brought down shy of the Revere 30.
I'll tell you, Revere had that play diagnosed. They had the backers in the backfield, and they just literally missed the tackle. Now, Lance is an awful tough runner, and he had something to do with it, but really that play should have been stopped for no gain or a loss, but instead, we've got a 1st and 10 on the 31. Lance is now over 100 yards rushing for the game.
That was an 11-yard gain.
Once again, Wadsworth is coming out there, lining up their 2 backs side by side rather than in the eye to get them into the holes of the line quicker.
Again, it's David Lance.
Run play, Lance the ball carrier, and he's stacked up just past the Revere 30 to about the 28 or 29.
Taking a look at the clock, one thing that this is doing, it's keeping the Revere offense off the field. Wadsworth has held onto the ball for almost 4 minutes now, and if they can score on this, and they've kept the Revere offense off the field, giving their defense a rest, it's looking pretty good.
Pitch to Marino, finds running room right. Stiff arms a couple defenders and takes it out of bounds inside the 20. Wadsworth now in the red zone.
And that's what Marino does best. You saw him at his best right there, a slashing type runner. Take the pitch outside, get a little bit of room, cuts inside, cuts outside, then turns on the burners and picks up the 1st down. A real nice run by Dan Marino. The ball is resting right on the 20-yard line, 1st and 10 for Wadsworth.
Handoff is to Lance.
Lance straight ahead for...
And this is something a little different we've seen. They've pretty much featured Dave Lance all night. Prior 3 games, it was Marino was more of the featured back.
Well, I think one of the reasons why is Lance, your fullback, runs better up the middle. And against the Falls and against Medina, the defense was just too big. They couldn't do it. With the smaller Revere defense, Wadsworth has opened up just enough holes that they can get Lance through.
On 2nd and 7, a pitch to Lance.
David Lance.
Nice blocking by the Wadsworth line to give Lance running room, and he gets it down to the 10.
Awfully close to a first down. That play was stopped for about a 5-yard gain, except Lance just simply ran through a tackle and continued to plow on. They're marking the ball, I think, just short of the first down, so it's going to bring a 3rd up and 1 on the 10-yard line.
7 minutes to go in the 3rd. Wadsworth looking to go up by 10 points. Another handoff to Lance. This time he's brought down.
I think he's short. It's going to be very close, but he was hit in the backfield, tried to lean forward for the first down. Don't know if he made it or not.
Defensive end.
And they said he did make it.
Defensive end Dizakowski on the tackle. He's also a Revere fullback.
They're spotting the ball just inside the 10-yard line, so it's going to be a 1st and goal for Wadsworth on the 9. The good news is it's 1st and goal. The bad news is you can't go any further and still have to punch it in order to, you can't pick up a first down.
Lance takes it up the middle. Gain of a couple yards.
A yard or 2.
Revere player is injured on the field. Referees are calling a timeout. Well, so far, Wadsworth has come out and done pretty much what they wanted to do. They've already taken 6 minutes off the clock. They've got the ball down inside the Revere 10-yard line. If they can score here, score a touchdown, it's going to be looking very, very good for Wadsworth. On the other hand, if somehow they get stopped, the momentum can swing that quick to Revere. And with the adjustments they probably made at halftime, Wadsworth could be in trouble. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Referees timeout while they attend to the injured player.
That was Brian Gibb, linebacker for Revere. He gets up and he is now walking off the field, and number 55, Ross Farron, will take his place.
Looks like he's okay. If I had to guess, I'd say it might have been a muscle cramp, something like that. I'm sure he'll be back in very shortly. And for Wadsworth, it's going to be 2nd and 8 on the Revere 8-yard line.
I formation, 2 receivers left. Revere line jumping again. Hoover rolls out right, keeps it himself, and he's brought down at the line of scrimmage for no gain.
That was well defense by Revere. It looked like there was a receiver open running a flag pattern, but Hoover just didn't have time to get. And I'll tell you, this is a big play here, 3rd and 10. If Wadsworth comes up short on this, they're either going to have to settle for 3 points or none. So we'll see what happens. They've got wide receivers down to the bottom of your screen. The backs are not in the eye, they're just split.
Hoover's gonna throw. Finds Copeland. Just shy of the goal line. If he could have leaned in just a little further, I think he would have scored there.
If he could have taken 1 half step down before he made his cut, he'd have been in the end zone.
4th and goal from inside the Revere
The ball
line.
is inside the Revere yard line, 4th and goal, and there's no doubt Wadsworth is going to go for it. Revere calls timeout, and I have a hunch the Wadsworth coaching staff is happy they did because they want to talk this over too. So timeout Revere, first timeout, and this is our first really crucial play of the game.
Look for the 3 men in the backfield.
Say 50-50 ticket. I have the winning ticket. You take your tickets out.
There are a lot of different philosophies what to do in a situation like this, but for up to me, I'd go back to what happened Green Bay, Dallas in the Freezer Bowl game. You take the ball and give it to your best back and have him run behind his best blocker and just hope that you can punch it in. Watch for Wadsworth to come out with a three-back offense. They might have Schnell up front. Just try to punch a hole and then give it to Lance and have him try to poke it in. Nope, they're coming out in the two-back set.
Fourth and goal. The ball inside the 1.
Fans start to get into it. Quarterback sneak.
By Hoover.
Waiting for the
players
signal.
think he's in.
And the signal is touchdown. Quarterback sneak play. Hoover takes it in across the goal line. Second touchdown for Wadsworth tonight. It's now 16-7 with the point after touchdown coming up.
With a quick snap, and Hoover there was never any doubt what he was going to do. He's just going to follow the left guard and the left tackle and just managed to poke the ball in. So if the extra point is good, Wadsworth's going to go up by 7. And Wadsworth has run over 7 minutes off the clock in this drive.
Galpert's point after touchdown right through the middle. That gives Wadsworth a 10-point lead at 17-7.
I'll tell you, if you were a Wadsworth coach, when you're at the halftime diagramming what you wanted the team to do when they come out, they couldn't have done it any better. They took the kickoff, they marched basically the length of the field, ran over 7 minutes off the clock, kept the Revere offense off the field, gave their defense a rest. The Wadsworth team and the Wadsworth coaches must be feeling pretty good about themselves right now. But again, the thing you got to remember, Wadsworth has been vulnerable to the big play, and Revere's quarterback certainly can give you that.
Revere kicking team already out in the field. Here come the Grizzlies. So it is crucial here for Wadsworth to not give Revere good field position and let them score quickly.
We have a winner, our 50-50 drawing.
Really nice to see a 3 and out right here.
$50 is Kathy Clark. Congratulations to Kathy Clark. Galpert to kick it away to Palmasano.
Sam Galpert to kick off.
And Davis.
Palmasano and Davis deep for Revere. Galpert's kick. A low line drive. Fielded by Palmasano. Brings it up the middle of the field to about the 28 of Revere.
That was a 47-yard kickoff by the time the ball got done bouncing and rolling. And there comes a flag in, a very late flag. It's got to be unsportsmanlike conduct. The question is going to be against who? And the play was long over. It had nothing to do with the play. They're calling a personal foul on Revere. That had to be something that somebody said to somebody or pushing and shoving after the ball was dead, but I didn't see anything.
Could have been some words exchanged maybe the referees didn't like.
Well, I like that kind of call. I don't think there's any call for whatever went on in high school football. No matter which team it was against, you don't want that kind of thing to happen. This time it happened to be against Revere. And that helps the Wadsworth cause quite a bit. Now Revere is starting at their own 15-yard line.
These kids are representing their school, and just like in the classroom, same kind of behavior is expected on the field. Angelo, short pop pass, intercepted. Number 30, John Schnell takes it in for a touchdown.
Flags on the field. That's going to be an illegal block on Wadsworth.
At about the 5-yard line.
They're going to call a clip on that run back. The interception is going to stand. But as Snell was fighting his way into the end zone, one of the defensive backs looks like he hit a Revere player in the back. So good news and bad. Stands, the touchdown doesn't. And I think Wadsworth will get the ball on about the 20-yard line when everything is all sorted out.
Unbelievable.
I saw that whole thing, and it was a tough call. The Wadsworth player was desperately trying to block the quarterback to keep him from making the tackle. Whether or not he was in front or behind the quarterback was kind of up for grabs. Kind of tough to tell, and the ref saw it as an illegal block. Wadsworth 1st and 10 on the 20.
Nonetheless, nice defensive play by Wadsworth. John Schnell, second interception of the night for the Grizzlies. Pitch to Marino, dives forward to about the 16-yard line.
Brett Reed leads the tacklers.
Scott Callahan just informs us that we only had 10 players on the field. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you know the rules or not. You don't have to have 11 players on the team in order to run a play. In fact, all you have to have is 6 players on the line of scrimmage, so that play is going to stand even though Wadsworth was operating at a bit of a handicap. Obviously, you can't have 12, but you can have 10 or 9 or 8 or 7.
About 3 yards, we'll call it 2nd down, 7. Ball is now at the Revere 17.
Nonetheless, Marino goes out of the game. The handoff to Lance.
Around the right side.
Marino, a slight limp as he walked to the sideline. He'll be all right.
Mark it at about the 12-yard line.
Scott Callahan just informing us that the Wadsworth defense has been on the field this quarter for only 1 play, and we're down to 3 minutes and 30-some seconds in the 3rd quarter. Big play here, 3rd down and 3.
The one play was the nice interception by Schnell, even though he didn't score.
Marino's out.
Handoff to Lance.
David Lance.
I think he has the 1st down.
Appears to have the ball inside the 10-yard line.
And a score here by Wadsworth
Down Wadsworth.
can really boost
1st and goal, the ball at
the outcome of this game. It's never over till it's over, but should give Wadsworth a lot of confidence going into the 4th quarter.
You talk about total domination in a quarter. Revere's had the ball for 1 play, and that was an interception.
3 minutes to go in the 3rd. Hoover runs with it.
Around the right side is knocked out of bounds.
It looks like he picked up a couple.
Knocked out of bounds on the right side of the field.
They give him 3 yards. It's going to bring up a 2nd down. Now they're making it 4, 2nd and 6.
Marked it at the 6-yard line, gain of about 2. 2nd and goal from the 6.
Two split backs, 2 receivers on the left. Hoover rolls to the left, finds Copeland, and just out of his reach and wide. Nice formation there on that play, just couldn't quite execute it.
I think one of the problems here, I don't want to call it a problem, but Hoover was rolling to his left, and for a right-handed quarterback to throw right-handed when you're rolling to your left is very difficult. He couldn't get anything on the ball, and the throw was very awkward and just kind of floated out over Copeland's hands. So here's another big play, 3rd and 6 for Wadsworth. See what they do here.
3rd and 6 from the 6.
From the right hash, fake handoff, pass to Brink in the end zone for a Wadsworth touchdown.
What a great call. Fake the ball into the line. It froze everybody, and Brink just took a couple steps to the inside and looked up, and the ball was right there, and he walked into the end zone untouched. That was a great call by the Wadsworth coaching staff, and obviously very good execution.
Just kind of flicked that pass right over the line into the hands of big Chris Brink. Kick is up and right through the middle again. So with 2:47 to go in the 3rd, Wadsworth 24 and Revere 7.
Take a look up at the clock. There's only 2 minutes and 47 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, and Wadsworth has had the ball for all but 1 play. Right now, Hoover has 132 yards passing, and he has the 1 touchdown. There's 128 yards total rushing for Wadsworth. They put together just for David Lance. They put together a very impressive balance here between passing and rushing. And the whole Wadsworth team has to be feeling awfully good right now. They're up by 17 points with a little over a quarter to go. Their defense has been playing very solid tonight. And as you said, John, it's never over till it's over. But boy, I'd rather see it look this way than have the score reversed.
And those first 3 ball games against non-conference players or non-conference teams were tough tests for these Grizzlies, but it really helped them out in the start of what looks to be win number 2 for the Grizzlies, but more importantly, still undefeated in the Suburban League.
Revere is good, but they're not the caliber of the, say, the Falls, Medina, or even Hudson.
Another low kick by Galpert. Dzikowski fields it, and he's brought down at the 35.
It's a 37-yard kick. Ryan Finn was the first back down there to make the hit. Even though he did make the tackle, he slowed it up until the rest of the team got there. So now Revere's in a bit of trouble. Let's see what they come out doing. They're going to have to rely on all their skills to get back into this game. And the thing that the Wadsworth defense has to be aware of, don't give up the big play.
So Revere ready to snap their second play of the third quarter. Angelo back to pass. Still looking. He's going to run with it up the middle, and he gains about 3 or 4 yards.
Around the 39-yard line.
That was a pass play all the way. You got to credit the Wadsworth defense. All the receivers were pretty well covered, and the quarterback really hadn't much of an option to just tuck the ball and run, and there were just a lot of Wadsworth players waiting there. So it's 2nd down and 5, but I think at this point in the game, Wadsworth will take that. That's only the second play of the third quarter.
2 minutes to go in the third. Angelo drops back. Intended for Chris Slattery, that pass was, and he kind of caught it once, bobbled it, and finally dropped it. So
Slattery was open by a little bit. What had to happen, though, the ball had to be zipped in there, and the pass came in kind of as a rainbow, and by the time the ball got there, the Wadsworth defense had pretty much caught up. That's going to bring up a 3rd and 6 on the Revere 38-yard line.
Another nice defensive play there by Tim Wilkinson. Option play for Revere. Angelo keeps it himself and moves the ball to about the 43. That's shy of a first down.
You want to give credit to somebody on that play, Jake McIlvain. He came up and he did 2 things. Number 1, he covered the pitch back so the pitch couldn't be made. And number 2, he kept stringing the play out until help came. So even though McIlvain didn't make the tackle, he made the play happen. 4th and 2, and it looks like Revere is going to go for it. This is a very interesting call. 4th and 2. With 1:24 to go in the third quarter. Maybe they're just going to try to draw Wadsworth offside. But oh my.
I formation, 2 receivers to the left for Revere. Hands it off to Hartshoe.
It is going to be very, very close. It depends on the spot. He's right there at the yard line where he had to be. Depends on where the ref spotted. And this could be the whole game right here if Revere doesn't make it. And they say he did make it.
Picking up the necessary 2 yards.
Really close. He got hit in the backfield and just managed to lunge forward to make the first down. A very, very gutsy call by the Revere coaching staff. So that brings up 1st and 10 Revere on the 45-yard line.
So their big gun, Hartshoe, gets the important first down. We're now under a minute in the third. Angelo looking to pass. He runs with it by himself again. And that's going to be probably a late hit on Wadsworth.
Yeah, I agree. Wilkinson made a nice open field tackle, but then another Wadsworth player came in just a little bit late. I don't think there was anything intentional about that. He wasn't trying to hurt, but it was a late hit. It was a good call, and that's going to move the ball another 15 yards down the field. Unfortunate, but a good call.
Move it down to the Grizzly 36-yard line, 1st and 10 Revere.
I said before in this game, I'll say again, Wadsworth isn't penalized much, but it seems the penalties they get called for are just very big penalties at the wrong time.
Now Hartshoe is split as a receiver. Dzikowski, the fullback, in the backfield. And it's handed off to him. He gets it up to the Wadsworth 30.
Wilkinson made the tackle, and I think that's going to be the last play of the third quarter. They might get one more in. 22 seconds left and counting.
2nd and 4 for the Minutemen.
2nd and 4. 7 seconds and counting in the third. They will get the play off. Hands off to Hartshoe. And he digs for some extra yardage to almost the 25.
It's going to be very close to the first down. The third quarter comes to an end.
At the end of 3, it's your Wadsworth Grizzlies 4 and Revere 7.
So it's like a good news, bad news situation. The good news, Wadsworth played by and large an excellent quarter, scoring the 14 points to go up by 17. The bad news is Revere just isn't going away. That very gutsy call on 4th down and 2, the penalty that moved the ball down, and the Wadsworth defense still has their work cut out for them. So we've got 12 more minutes of football to see what happens here.
The Revere band off to our rights, playing Hang On Sloopy.
Yeah. Shades of Ohio State. I noticed the Revere fight song is also Ohio State's fight song, so they must have a pretty good Buckeye connection going.
What? My question is, what Ohio high school does not have Shades of Ohio State in their repertoire?
Wadsworth. Well, here we are, start of the fourth quarter, 24-7. Revere, 1st and 10 at the Wadsworth 25. See if Wadsworth can come up big, and Revere will probably be passing the ball quite a bit this quarter.
Handoff is to Hartshoe, fights for some extra yardage.
Maybe a yard.
Maybe a gain of 1.
Makes the tackle for the Grizzlies.
Wadsworth was blitzing on the play, and that time it didn't hurt him. They got back in the backfield. Dietrich made the tackle. A very nice tackle. No game. 2nd and 10. And Wadsworth had better play it pretty loose in the secondary on this play. See how they line up. They're playing back. We've got 2 wide receivers to the bottom of the screen.
Jeff Dietrich on the tackle on that last play. Angelo gonna pass. Finds Cerro, and he's run out of bounds inside the 15-yard line.
A flag came in on that, and they're going to call a late hit on Wadsworth, and that one I don't agree on. Or they're either going to call that or a hit out of bounds. I don't think that was a particularly good call. But be that as it may, it's going to be a half the distance penalty, and Revere is going to get a 1st and 10 down about on the 7-yard line. Oh, they called a face mask on Wadsworth. Okay, that's a little different. I didn't see anything wrong there with the hit or the out-of-bounds hit, but the face mask, that's something entirely different. That's another one of those like celebration or taunting. The referees are going to call all the time just to protect the player. So if that was the case, it was a good call.
They're going to mark it at the Wadsworth 6-yard line.
1st and goal from the 6 for Revere.
The ball just outside the Wadsworth 6-yard line.
I formation for Revere. 2 receivers to the right. Hand off to Hartshoe. Up the middle.
Quick burst up the middle, close to the goal line.
Very close, but the refs are marking it just short of the goal line. So Revere's going to come up with a 2nd and, maybe about a half a yard. Hannah made the stop. They're actually setting it on about the 1-yard line. So it's 2nd and goal for Revere on the 1.
And look for him to give it to number 32, Hartshoe here, or the fullback, Dzikowski. The quarterback sneak. Angelo gets in for the Revere touchdown. That makes it 24-13. Dave Sweedler with the point after touchdown.
No good.
It's wide left, no good.
I don't know if it was blocked by West or not, or if he just shanked it, but he pulled it off the left, kind of like a 9-iron that it kind of squirts off the side of your club.
Revere now will have to score twice due to that missed extra point.
Yeah, they're up by 11. That means 2 touchdowns Revere has to score. That was a very interesting and a very impressive drive. You go back to the first call, the 4th and 2 around midfield. Revere made it. After that, they got help from the big penalty that moved it down in close. Then another penalty that instead of a 1st and 10 on the 15, gave them a 1st and goal on the 6. So good call, a couple of penalties, and all of a sudden Wadsworth's got a game on their hands again with 10:41 to play.
Very big missed extra point. Had he made that, Revere would have needed only a touchdown and a field goal. Now they need 2 touchdowns. Of course, they could score a touchdown and convert the 2-point play and then get a field goal. So we'll see what happens here in the last 10 minutes of the ball game. Wadsworth leading by 11. Kick fielded by West. Barrels up the field, and he's brought down at about the 33.
Sean Sanaflo also in on the play.
It was a 45-yard kick and an 18-yard return, and Wadsworth has the ball on the 35. And if you're the Wadsworth coaching staff or the Wadsworth fans, what do you want to see them do? Exactly like they did the last drive. Come out, run time off the clock, somehow get a score.
Keep it on the ground and gain a few yards here, a few yards there, and you're in business. Hand off to Lance. Flag on the play.
But there is a penalty on the play.
Flag on the play. Holding Wadsworth. I noticed that Dan Marino is not in the game. Snell's playing the other running back. I see Marino on the sideline. He's walking around, and it looks like he's stretching his legs. And I think he'll be back in if need be. He doesn't look like he's seriously injured. But there's another critical penalty for Wadsworth. And instead of a 1st and 10, now they end up with, depends on the spot of the foul. It's going to be a 1st and 21.
1st and 21.
10.5 minutes to go in the game. Quick pitch to Lance. Gets around the left.
Around the left side,
crosses the 30-yard line.
Hartshoe there to make the tackle.
7-yard gain for Lance. It'll be 2nd and about 13.
Boy, when you talk about penalties, sometimes there are penalties that really don't matter all that much, and then there are other penalties that really kill you. And Wadsworth just seems to have a penchant for gathering penalties that are really drive stoppers or allow the other team to proceed on when they shouldn't. But anyhow, 2nd and 13 for Wadsworth.
Hoover does a little spin move behind the line of scrimmage, and he's sacked.
That looked to me like a busted play. Hoover turned one way, nobody there, turned the other way, there was nobody there. I don't know if one of the backs ran the wrong pattern, but he had to end up eating the ball, so that moves it back to the 26. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 17.
Sack there by Chris Slattery. He's been busy on defense for the Minutemen.
Time for Adam Copeland to step up here. Watch him down the bottom of your screen.
Quick handoff to Lance. Gets some yardage.
Yeah, I think he got the 1st down.
He was knocked out of bounds just shy of the 45. The marker was at about the 43.
He was knocked out of bounds at about the 41. Going to leave the Grizzlies with a 4th and 3.
I guess they ruled he stepped out of bounds before he got anywhere near the yard marker. So it's going to bring up a 4th and 3 for Wadsworth.
David Lance in punt formation.
Lance to punt for Wadsworth.
Hartshoe 32 and double safety for the
Hartshoe and Ciro deep for the Minutemen. Lance's punt is high, fielded by Hartshoe, and the Grizzlies are right there to bring him down inside Revere's 30.
28-yard line, 29-yard line.
31-yard kick by Lance.
But more important than that, exclusive on Wadsworth Cable, we not only give you the hang time, but how high the ball went. The hang time on that punt was 3.8 seconds, and the punt went 60 yards in the air. And incidentally, that's only the second punt for Wadsworth. I don't think Revere's punted tonight.
First and 10 Minutemen. And Angelo calls a timeout.
Angelo signals for a timeout.
Couldn't get the Wadsworth line to jump there, and he has to call timeout.
That's the second timeout the Revere has called. As you know, they only get 3 per half. And that could become critical, because if it comes down to late in the game where Revere has to make a long drive to score to tie or win, they haven't got their timeouts to work with. So that's kind of a big timeout.
Then join your classmates and fellow alumni at St. Victor's Church for an evening of memories of the way you used to be. Tickets for this.
Just a reminder, you Wadsworth fans, next week we're going to be playing Green and playing at home. Green is 1-2, and they're playing at Cloverleaf tonight. So next Friday night, hopefully have beautiful weather. We'll have a booth to work out of, but I hope to see you all at the game.
Yeah, we'll have our graphics and slow-mo back for you. Sideline camera action, the whole works. First and 10, Revere. Man in motion.
That's a motion penalty on Revere. They had the tight end lined up on one side. He came across almost like in motion, but then went to set on the other side of the line. He did set, but before the snap count, he jumped forward. That one was pretty obvious. So that'll be a 1st and 15 for Revere, back on about their 25-yard line.
That'll be 5 yards. Move the ball back to the 24-yard line.
Angelo gets the snap and fumbles it.
Big pileup. I think Revere recovered.
I believe
No,
and Wadsworth
Wadsworth
recovers the fumble. John Schnell at the bottom of the pile.
Say, Schnell's been doing everything tonight. He's got the interception, which he almost scored on. There he recovered the fumble. He's had his shot at running back. He's had a shot at blocking back, and he's been playing linebacker. But the only thing he hasn't done is brought the water out for the team during the timeout. So Wadsworth now has a golden opportunity. If they score here, they could pretty much put the game out of reach with 8:39 to go.
Ball on about the 24 of Revere. Handoff to Lance. He's been busy tonight. Finds a gap and gets it inside the 10-yard line and out of bounds at about the 6.
Two things there. First of all, there's great blocking at the point of attack. And after that, Lance put his head down, ran through a player or two. That was a 19-yard gain. So it's going to be 1st and goal from the 6 for Wadsworth.
Best game of the year so far, definitely, for David Lance. He's got to be close to 200 yards.
I don't know, but at least the Wadsworth line's opening holes for him this week.
Another pitch to Lance, takes it around left. Still running hard is David Lance, and the coach mentioned to me on his show he really wanted his line to improve, and they've definitely done that tonight, giving David Lance plenty of time to run with the ball.
Well, the Revere line is nowhere as big as the lines that Wadsworth has faced up until now. They're doing a better job of handling them. Nice block thrown there by John Schnell. Seems like we've been calling his name lots. Marino still, he's over on the sidelines, just standing there. It's going to bring up 2nd down and 2 for Wadsworth.
16 is the score. Another handoff to Lance. And he is stopped just short of the goal line.
In fact, Adam Copeland was signaling touchdown from his wide receiver spot, not to be. They're marking the ball inside the 1 yard line. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 1. 7 minutes and 10 seconds to play in the game.
And speaking of the coach's show, if you'd like to catch Greg Dennison's insights to tonight's ball game, you can tune in this Monday night and the rest of the week before Friday's game against Green. We will review the highlights from this game as Hoover keeps it and dives in, but there is a flag.
Hoover ran the same play he did for the other touchdown, where he took the snap and just went in behind his right guard and right tackle. The flag was thrown immediately. It's got to be against Wadsworth. They're calling a procedure penalty on Wadsworth, and that's unfortunate. Instead of 3rd and 1, it's going to bring out a 3rd and 6. I didn't see any motion. Did you see any?
I did not. I'll finish what I was mentioning. Grizzly Gridiron with head coach Greg Dennison. You can see it all week long. We will review the highlights of this ball game and preview the upcoming game against Green. All on Channel 16 WCTV. Here's a fake handoff. Hoover has run to just walk it in, and it's touchdown Wadsworth Grizzlies. Everybody just was expecting the run there, and the lines moved to the right. Hoover rolled to the left. Nobody in front of him. He kind of just galloped it in.
That was not a design play. He was looking to throw the ball, stood up, looked over, saw the receivers were covered, and just saw that huge wide open area there. I think he could still be running the ball if he just hadn't run out of end zone.
Galpert's extra point. Up and good. And with 6:48 remaining in the 4th, the score has become Wadsworth 31, the Revere Minutemen 13.
Well, this has got to make it awful tough on Revere. I mean, they're going to have to score 3 times in 6 minutes and 48 seconds. And expect the air to be filled with footballs now, because the only way Revere can do this is to pull out all the stops. And you might want to take a look at the Wadsworth defense when they come out after the kickoff and see where they're playing. I have a hunch you're going to see the safeties, the linebackers dropping way, way off. They'll give Revere 5, 10, maybe even 15 yards down the middle. But what they don't want to give up is the big play, not with an 18-point lead. 6 minutes and 48 seconds to play in the game. And remember, this could be critical too. Revere's already used 2 of their times out.
And one of the big keys offensively tonight for the Grizzlies has been David Lance. He has run for over 180 yards tonight. Very fine display of the Wadsworth running game. Offensive has improved. Defense has stayed right where they're at. Playing very well.
They look smooth tonight. They look like they've got it together. Except for the penalties, they've done an awfully good job on both sides of the ball.
Galpert's kick. In and out of the hands of Dizikowski. Then he picks it up. Finds some running room, and he's brought down to the 30.
That was
and
actually
the tackle,
a fine run by Dizikowski. It was a 45-yard punt, even though they were playing, fumbled the ball down there. When he finally did pick it up, he rumbled forward for some good yardage and was very difficult to bring down. 6:39 to go in the 4th quarter. Revere starting on their own 30, 1st and 10.
Sophomore Tony Moeller on the special teams tackle there for Wadsworth.
Looking at the Wadsworth defense, they're not playing all that loose. They're up there in almost a normal set.
Wadsworth blitz.
What a great
and
blitz.
John Schnell.
I don't know, I'm getting tired of calling his name. I'm going to have to call him something else. You talk about timing a blitz perfectly. You couldn't diagram it any better than that.
5-yard loss.
So that brings up a 2nd and 15. I swear the quarterback didn't have time even to turn around. Snell was there. Now the Wadsworth defense has loosened up a bit.
Schnell just slipped right through the line there and was all over Angelo. Now Angelo drops back, looks for a receiver, and he's sacked by Ryan Finn.
That was basically a coverage sack. The Wadsworth defense sagging back, had the receivers covered, and the quarterback really didn't have anything to do but try to run the ball, and Finn just had him around the ankles. That brings up 3rd and 18, 5 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the game.
3rd and about 18.
Another blitz.
Interesting thing happened there. That time blitzing was picked up, but what it did was disrupt the whole flow of everything, and the quarterback didn't have anything to do but basically run towards the only opening he could find, picked up a yard or two, brings up a 4th down, and Revere is ostensibly going to punt, but I don't think Wadsworth is buying it. They're dropping nobody back, and which is very wise. They're just going to play their normal defense. There's a little bit of confusion on the Wadsworth team as to what they're going to do. They're just going to let this ball land where it does.
Hard shoe to punt it. It's a high kick over Hannah's head, hits at about the 43 and rolls out of bounds at the Wadsworth 36.
So we have 4 minutes and 38 seconds to go. Revere has 1 timeout. They can only stop the clock once, and Wadsworth has got the ball on their own 36, 37 yard line, 43 yard kick, no return. Who do you think is going to get the ball, John?
David Lance.
You think David Lance? You really do? Gee, you know, guess what? I think David Lance too.
Coaches on the sidelines may well be aware Lance is approaching 200 yards rushing, and he is not in the backfield.
That's
well, there goes our prophecies.
Yeah, that's why I'm not a prophet.
Jeff Hanna now in at quarterback for the Grizzlies.
Hanna is now in at quarterback.
They've got a whole 2nd team backfield in there. They've got Jeff Hanna in a quarterback. He's a sophomore. He's a big kid, good quarterback, but he's going to be the heir apparent to Mike Hoover.
And carrying the ball there for Wadsworth, Joe Tricomi, a sophomore, backup running back for the Grizzlies.
It's kind of interesting. I'm glad that Coach Dennison put these kids in. Number 1, to protect our first team. Number 2, give them a chance to play. But I'm a little surprised with this much time to go that he put the 2nd team backfield in.
Greg Dent, the up back for Wadsworth, and Tricomi gets the handoff, finds a little bit of running room, takes it across the 40 to the 41.
Well, that play wasn't there. There was nothing outside. Tricomi did a good job just getting back to the line of scrimmage by stopping and cutting back inside. Now, it's going to be interesting here to see if the coaches allow Hanna to throw the ball. He hasn't thrown the ball in competition yet. Common sense dictates run out the clock, but this much of a lead, under 3.5 to go, we might see a pass here.
3rd and 7.
Ben Osterlin in as a receiver. So we have some 2nd teamers on offense, as Larry stated. Straight ahead with the ball is Greg Dent.
Short of the 1st down, it'll be 4th and 2. David Lance, punt formation.
And here we go again. We'll give you not only the hang time, but how high the punt goes.
0.
Lance gets off a high kick. It drops and gets a Wadsworth roll taken by Ciro, and he's brought down immediately at the 25. 2.5 minutes to go. Wadsworth with a commanding 31-13 lead.
The hang time on that punt was 3.4 seconds, and the ball went 49 feet into the air. Unlike Wadsworth, Revere has their first team offense in there yet. So I guess you can expect the air to be filled with footballs. Watching the Wadsworth backs, they're dropping back. Not as loose as I might have thought, but they're still pretty good ways off the ball.
Angelo drops straight back. pass is deflected and incomplete, intended for Ciro. Couple second teamers in there for defense too.
Good to get these kids a chance to play.
Ryan Finn got a hand on the football.
But let's face it, this game is over and everything except what the clock says. 31-13. And Revere will probably just keep throwing desperation passes and hoping something occurs, but doesn't look very good.
Under 2.5 minutes to go in the game. Angelo, little screen pass to Hartshoe. 4 or 5 Grizzlies right there to stop him.
Greg Dent made the first hit. It was just a little flare-out pass, looking to get the ball to the running back, make something happen. But Dent played it very well. He had his eye on the running back all the way coming out of the backfield and basically just let him catch the ball, turn him inside, and then made the tackle. That's going to bring up a 3rd and 10. There was no gain on the play. We have just under 2 minutes to play in the game. While we got a chance, I want to thank Scott Callahan, John Ramuglia, as always, great with the stats.
And we also thank Ken Buck for operating the camera tonight. Angelo throws, finds Ciro, and he's hit hard by Matt Four.
That was a nice catch. I'm surprised he hung on the ball because Four was coming full steam. Good hit. They had nice pickup on the play, but again, it's just a case of too little and too late. There's only 1 minute and 40 seconds to play, and the clock is running. Again, Scott Callahan, John Gramuglia, you want to know where we get these numbers from and who's doing this and who's doing what. They're the people that give it to us. They deserve an awful lot of credit for making these games more enjoyable.
1st and 10, Revere. Angelo continues to pass. Finds Ciro. Brought down at about the 43 of Wadsworth. Revere offense hustling back to the huddle. They want to try to get a final score in here and make it a little more respectable final score.
There was good pressure on the quarterback, and it was a good throw. But again, you got to remember, Wadsworth will give them that all night now. They don't care about the 10 or 15 yards over the middle. They just want the clock to run, and it is with 1 minute and 9 seconds to go. Just keep the clock running. Give me yardage.
Angelo drops straight back. Finds a receiver deep, and it's almost intercepted by Pat McCarthy. He dove for it and fell out of his arms as he hit the ground. Pass intended for John Congini.
That pass had no chance of being completed. McCarthy played it just perfectly. He had the inside track. He was using the out-of-bounds line as a second defender, so the ball couldn't be thrown deep. Had to be thrown to the inside, and McCarthy was the only one that he had any shot at all at catching the ball.
Now inside of 1 minute to go. Angelo to pass again. Scampers over the line of scrimmage. Brought down hard by Ian Formaz.
Angelo drops at the 45-yard
And that keeps the clock running. It's going to bring up a 3rd and about 10. I think, well, they're going to move it back. It's going to be about a 3rd and 11, maybe 3rd and 12. A little bit of a sack there. But we only have 35 seconds to go and counting. And this is not an incomplete pass. This might be it for Revere. 27 seconds to go.
You're watching Wadsworth Grizzlies football on WCTV, Channel 16. Angelo to pass, in and out of the hands of Dizakowski of Revere. 15 seconds to go before a Wadsworth victory. Wadsworth will go to 2-2 on the season, 1-0 in the Suburban League. Revere drops their first ball game of the season. They're now 3-1. 0-1 in the league.
And we keep talking about all night Revere and Wadsworth being the ones that are favored for the conference championship. Green's got a good football team. Their record might not show it, but they always come in with a tough bunch of kids. So next week isn't going to be a cakewalk for Wadsworth by any stretch of the imagination. 4th down and 11 for Revere. This is their last shot at things.
Look for the Hail Mary here. Angelo rolls to the right. Has not many receivers deep.
Angelo's pass complete.
Pass completed to Congini. He's pushed out of bounds. 6 seconds remaining.
There's a first down there. The clock is stopped, but with only 6 seconds to go.
Mark it as the 32-yard line. First and 10, 6 seconds remaining.
So this will probably be the last play of the game unless it's an incomplete pass. It's thrown very quickly.
Everybody back for the Wadsworth defense.
Wadsworth, there's just a big umbrella back there. They've got a few people on the line of scrimmage, everybody else way, way back. Penalty flag fly, and that might be delay a game against Revere. It's all academic at this point. Let's see what we got. Now they're saying offside Wadsworth. Evidently one of the Wadsworth players lined up in the neutral zone. So for what it's worth, it's going to be a 1st and 5 for Revere with 6 seconds to go.
27-yard line.
Ball on the 27, 1st and 5.
Including halftime, this ball game took about 2 hours, 25 minutes to play. Angelo, last play of the ball game.
In trouble.
Scampers, scrambles. He's dropped around the 40, and that's the ball game, folks.
Fitting ending to the game.
So the final score will be Wadsworth 31, Revere 13. Waiting on some final stats. Teams are shaking hands as they walk across the field. Very nice performance by the Grizzlies tonight as they start Suburban League play 1-0. Next week it will be Green at Artwright Stadium. So once again for Wadsworth, David Lance with a fine game on the ground. Once again, the Wadsworth defense played excellent football this evening. So tune in for the coaches show later this week and all through the week as we approach the game against Green, and Wadsworth will look to go 2-0 against Green in the Suburban League. Thanks again to everyone that helped us tonight. Sorry we didn't have our top-notch production, but we will be back with it the next couple of weeks for sure. You just watched your Wadsworth Grizzlies defeat the Revere Minutemen by a final score of 31-13. For Larry Varner, Ken Buck, and our scorekeepers, I'm John Bernard, voice of the Grizzlies. So long, everybody.